Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Brain Muffin at the Movies. And with Star Wars, the latest Star Wars coming out, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, and just, what is it? 4 weeks now, I think. There's still no hype. There's a lot of hype for Baby Yoda, but, we got to keep this relevant. So we've got a little excerpt from a Jar Jar Abrams interview. And he covers why Rey is so strong, sort of, okay? I know JJ's talking out his butt here, but, let's just see what in the world he's going to come up with. This is on WIGN's website, so PD Onato. JJ Abrams said there's definitely a reason why Rey is so strong, but he doesn't know it. And the Force in this new batch of Star Wars movies. An interview with Rolling Stone published on Thursday. The interviewer pointed out that Rey is picking up the Force at a fast pace. Rey knew nothing at the beginning of The Last Jedi and was lifting boulders by the end of the movie. Well, I don't know about nothing. She knew it existed, and in The Force Awakens, we see her, she does a Jedi mind trick, right? She pulls a lightsaber tour over the pulling of another Force user who's been training for how many years? 20 years, I guess, maybe, at least 30. She utilizes... she rolls her eyes up and says the Force, and then she's able to use, that's when she starts to actually beat Kylo Ren and a lightsaber fighting. So let's say she used the Force 3 times at least in The Force Awakens. So that's not true. But she didn't really know what it was, I guess. She didn't know the nature of the Force. Abrams agreed that the statement hinted at some clarity for Rey's abilities in The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, spooky, right? Smiles. It's a fair point. It's not an accident. Okay. What is it then? Early in the interview, Abrams was asked where the idea of Rey's character came from. He responded that he wanted a strong woman to breathe some life into the series. There's a pretty strong woman character right there, one of several. Now, in the movies, of course, in the EU, we get Ahsoka and others. We have Padme in the originals, who I think is... I don't think it's just the actor, but I think she's a better character in the prequels of Padme is than Anakin. Anakin's just too whiny. The idea was to tell a tale of a young woman who is innately powerful, innately moral, innately good, but also struggling with her place in the world and forced to find herself in every way. Oh my gosh, that is pretty much the definition of right there. That right there. So Jar Jar has just admitted what we've been saying since day one of the Force Awakens release, that Rey is a Mary Sue. That is the definition of a Mary Sue. She's a goddess, but it's a lie. And she's, inherently just overly good and moral and powerful and can do anything. Anything that the plot requires her to do, she just does pretty much, without learning, without any struggle. I mean, maybe she has to put forth a little bit of effort or something, but the powers are already there. Everything you need is already inside of you. And everybody loves her instantly for no reason. And she's even been saying that in both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. That's one of the few things that seems to be resonating through both of them. And she even says, I want to find my place in all this. Your place, young lady, is in the middle with everything revolving around you, literally. So Abrams has admitted that Rey's a Mary Sue. So the defenders of Rey just admit it. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It's just, let's just admit that she's a Mary Sue. Interestingly enough, there's been a lot of videos about Rey being a Mary Sue and the various Gary Stus in various universes. What's very odd is how often the Gary Stus are written better than the Mary Sues. I don't know why. And that's so okay. So anyway, let's keep going. As exciting as it was to get to play in the Star Wars universe, it was this young woman that I felt oddly compelled to get to know. Yet in the beginning, when he was proposing things, I remember interviews with him. I thought he said to Kathleen, "Who is Luke Skywalker?" That was the question that was going to propel the new trilogy, answering that question. Well, apparently he's just, a whiny, runaway, hurtful, failure, because that's what we get in the movies. So that was never really explored. Even at the beginning, the very first meeting with Kathleen Kennedy, the idea came up about having a female at the center of it, which I don't really mind, just write her well. In many ways, you had a female at the center of it in the sequel trilogy, because Padme was the driving force, right? She was the one who wanted to free her people as queen. She was the one fighting against, first fighting that the bureaucrats would see that they, sanctions and things need to be lifted. Was supportive of Palpatine in the beginning until she realized that he was trying to take full power, and was one of the very first to see that and sow the seeds of rebellion. She got the what would become the Rebel Council, I guess you could say, the very beginnings of it. She really propelled. So. And created. Now, granted, it took a long time for it to foster, because it doesn't really become a full-fledged rebellion for almost another 20 years. So I don't know. It's like, did you pay attention? I mean, she was using, now granted, she didn't use a lightsaber, but she used, she used weapons, and she was a leader, very strong leader, well respected. People were trying to kill her. She even had a clone that got assassinated. And so there's obviously, she had enough influence that it was worth multiple times people tried to kill her. So, various assassins and things like that. So, I really take this with a grain of salt. What you didn't have was a lightsaber wielding young woman. That's really the crux of it, not the center of it. You didn't have a lightsaber wielding young woman. White brunette. In there. There was inherent sense. We've seen the story before of the young hero, but we've never seen it through the eyes of a woman like this, and not to me. Yeah, we've never seen it through the eyes of a Mary Sue. And I'm sorry, but Luke is not a Gary Stu. He gets his butt handed to him in Empire. We know he's a good pilot, but Leia's a better shot than he is. She's much better with the blaster. She's a much stronger leader than he is at the time. He never really becomes a leader, even through the whole thing. That's more Han kind of becomes one. So whatever. In the same interview, okay, I'm going to see if I'm going to click on that. I don't know. And Rian Johnson's choice in Last Jedi. Abrams served as director, writer, and producer on. Is this the end of the article? And if you're looking for some Star Wars themed gifts, Baby Yoda merchandise. Yeah, Baby Yoda is just breaking up all over the internet. Okay, that is. Oh, okay. Let's see what we got. Any comments? Leia, as a teenager, was a prominent fighter in a rebellion against tyranny and persevered despite watching her planet and people die after torturing. Yep, she can. Yeah, she was very resistant to the torture, and that was actually confusing. Vader, why she was so resistant. And my take is she was always a latent Force user, and Vader had never been trained to sense that. So that's why he didn't notice. She continued to fight and even went undercover in the criminal underworld to rescue Han. Yep, she got captured. A lot of it has been made of the Slave Leia outfit, but it only works because of the strength of her character. It only works as a method of intimidation and something anyway. It was barely a teenager when she chose to fight and potentially die for her people rather than wait out the conflict of Coruscant in safety. Yep. She fought beside, they ran the blockade, got back in, took her throne room back, and years later took the action to rescue Obi-Wan when Anakin said otherwise. She stood firm in her political beliefs despite powerful opposition. How exactly does a strong woman breathe life into this franchise? It's I've seen the laughable strong woman argument so perfectly personified. Yep. Never seen the laughable strong woman. Star Wars shows exactly what is wrong with the executives and creatives who use that. They think a two-dimensional woman can do anything is so strong. That is true. And, everything comes to her easily, whereas both Leia and Padme had to fight for what they needed. I would have had no problem with a female. Now, granted, it would be like, we're telling the same story again, which is part of what annoyed me about the prequels. But have a hero's journey. Similar, you can do similar to Luke. Since you put her on a desert planet in Jakku and all the other stuff. Not Tatooine, and we went to Not Hoth in the second one because it was salt, not snow. But have her struggle. Maybe having that lightsaber go on is kind of weird. Because it does fall at Cloud City. It's kind of odd. Where does it go? How do they get it? Would be an interesting side journey. But perhaps maybe finding it, but it's kind of broken, and she learns to repair it and actually uses it in the third one to defeat Snoke. I mean, that would have been fine, or Kylo Ren or somebody. I was trying to say that one primary protagonist to be a strong woman instead of a strong woman to the main protagonist, but she is one. There are three main protagonists. I mean, yes, it is the Skywalker saga, and I don't think it was until the third one that Lucas had the idea of making Leia a Skywalker, but she's not a side character. And in particular in the first one, I mean, good grief, within seconds of being, she never wanted to be rescued, never sent out of distress to be rescued. And when her rescue shows up, within seconds, she takes control and is berating and belittling the guys that are trying to rescue her. So, I would say she's not a support character. Was the female Epstein. Let's see. What's really sad is how they blame racism, sexism for the bad reaction to their movies. Yep. First off, nobody ever cared that these movies had a female lead in the years leading up to into 7. They started caring when the credits rolled and they realized how awful it was. Secondly, Kathleen Kennedy is the only one who showed up. Is the one who showed up to events wearing the Force's female T-shirt. Yep. If anybody is sexist, it's the one who shows up wearing the T-shirt, not the people who took the issue with her sexism. Yeah, that's great. Yep. Well, we get it. She's a Mary Sue. There you go. And I wonder how many times that's going to show up. She's a boring character. Yeah. She's attractive. She didn't give a weird speech about love as his friends died and then suddenly kiss a guy. Yeah. Commit sexual assault. She's not that. Because she's a Mary Sue, we know, there we go. She's Mary Sue-ness was a direct response to the flack he got in his treatment of women in Into Darkness. I will say, yeah, what he did with Uhura, and now I didn't mind the Alice Eve underwear scene, apparently neither did she, but what he turned Uhura, who was a strong female officer in Starfleet, into this nagging girlfriend in a time of distress, and that was horrible. That was just downright horrible. Alice has no issues with that scene. Oh, okay. And Kirk, there we go. Turnabout's fair play. And she looked really good. Film was so bad, it came out 4 years ago, and he's still trying to explain it. Yeah, that's true. And trying to defend it. And I don't really want to view any more comments. But, I think this is a full admission that Rey's a Mary Sue. And I might use that as a title for this video because she's a poorly written character. She doesn't develop anything. Everything's given to her or comes to her because of plot. Everyone loves her instantly. She doesn't earn anything, which is sad because she starts out a scavenger with very, very little. So you kind of feel some empathy for her. And then when everything just comes to her in 2 movies, and I've seen some clips in possible leaks and stills and things from the new one. The so-called trailer was bad enough with the horses running on the Star Destroyer. I know people said it's not in space, it's only in the atmosphere. Well, it doesn't matter. If it's moving at all, that's a problem. And then that's a smooth surface, and horses don't do well on smooth surfaces. I know they filmed that probably on grasslands or something and CGI'd it, obviously, into a flat surface. But, flat metallic surface, this fleet of, it just looks dumb. I mean, it just looks like ideas taken from Endgame. I mean, Endgame had its own problems in the Marvel universe. And if there's, we've seen ships from all over. If it's some kind of goofy multiple time loop bull crap, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be entertained probably from the reactions of people more than the movie, which is fine. And it's going to be a fun ride. Because I look at it this way when it comes to episode 9. If it's somehow really good, okay. Now let's say that it's somehow the people like me who didn't like The Force Awakens actually like this one. I know it's a trilogy and you've got the Last Jedi in the middle. I get it. Okay. Just bear with me a moment. But if it somehow wins over a majority of the fans and wins back a vast majority of the people who really didn't like The Force Awakens and really hated The Last Jedi, that's going to be good because that's probably all we're going to talk about is how they ended it well. They think they learned their lessons, and maybe if they take a few years off and we get some more Star Wars movies, they'll follow that model. I mean, Rogue One sort of followed a better model, although the Disney execs screwed it up a lot and turned it into a comedy. I still want to see the original movie that Gareth Edwards did before he was fired. On the other side, if it is the dumpster fire we all believe it's going to be, and everything all the indications are that it is, then that's going to be the entertaining watching. And it's sad. I mean, I was 15 when I saw Return of the Jedi in theaters in '83, and it's going to be sad to watch this beloved franchise just crash and burn. But I will laugh because it's Disney that did it. Lucas, yeah, he had a lot of missteps with the prequels, and I still can't watch them, but some people can. It's awesome. Some people love them. It's awesome. But I have the originals, and I have from the time when I think Lucas was the most creative. Unfortunately, it about destroyed him, about killed him a couple times. He almost had heart attacks. He got a horrible divorce in the middle of making those. But it led to some better things. But, we had 2 Ewok movies that were horrible. We've had the prequels weren't very good. And now we have these movies. And so in many, many ways, I have to say the originals are really the only ones. And it became a phenomenon that bred on itself. And by the time we got to Return of the Jedi, it was getting tired. And Return of the Jedi should have been the last one. And I was there for all of it. So I can hang my hat on that, I guess. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with The Rise of Skywalker. I expect to be entertained no matter how good or bad the movie is. So I'm just going to go in just zero expectations, right? Just as neutral as I can be. And let Jar Jar take me in any direction. And if it's bad, it's bad. And we'll watch the fandom crash and burn, and that'll be entertaining. And if it's good, I'll admit it. And we'll see. And maybe the fandom will be re-energized, and the Mandalorian will breathe new life into this series that it hasn't had probably since '83. And maybe in a few years we'll get even better movies. So to me, it's a win-win. I would rather see it be awesome and just be the beginning of something even better. But we'll see. Okay, so thanks for stopping by. So what do you think? Do you think JJ has admitted that Rey is a Mary Sue? I think he has with this right here. And so that's my take. What's yours? And let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much, and goodbye. I cannot believe it. I hit record and they start playing. So let's just get this done. I know. That's awful. All right. Double check. Discount, double check. All right, here we go. I think. Where does that go? 3, 2, 1.